for game dev chats, one of the potential names that I came up with was devs talking. But when you put that together, it's dev stalking. And we don't want to do dev stalking.
Just creepy alley. Hey, you want to make games? Hey. Come to my game studio. Welcome back to Game Dev Chats. This is Ross Shabilsky, founder and CEO of D20Studios.
And I am Logan Erickson, producer of the Geekwave.
And today we have a very special guest, our own Mallory Day, marketing and community manager. Welcome to the show, Mallory.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So we are very excited today to be talking about marketing, the brand, right?
The brand!
The brand, it's so important!
Yeah, so a rose by any other name would smell as sweet, except when it comes to marketing. Am I right?
Yes.
Oh, on point, Ross. Bravo! So what is, the brand is the name, right? That's super important. Why is that important? How do we figure that out?
Well, a brand is a lot more than just a name and a logo, but the name and the logo are the first thing that people are generally going to experience from your brand. And a lot of times when companies are just starting up, they are only talking to their friends about what they should name it, and they're just kind of thinking, like, what's the coolest thing? And, you know, sometimes that can work.
Yeah.
I mean, there are companies like Apple and Microsoft and, like, things that don't really make any sense.
Yep.
But one thing that you can do to really kind of kickstart your company is to name your company something that makes sense for what you're doing, but also is optimized for search results. It's going to be easy for people to find. So when you pick a name, like, make sure that it's not a name that 100 other things have. Like, don't name anything Apple. At this point, like, that brand is taken. You can't have it. So you want to pick something that's not super common.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that it's spelled correctly. And then also just make sure that the name isn't associated with anything strange. So this is specifically important for game titles, I've noticed. If you don't do some research on the name, it could turn out that your name is associated with, like, a porn Twitter, which is something that we experienced at
That would be, there you go. That's not what you want.
You become one of those famous phrases you don't want to Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to search for the name of your product on Google. You want to search for it on Twitter, Facebook, not just so that you can make sure you have that channel as yours, but you also just want to make sure that there's nothing unsavory there. Because you can try to get that handle taken by contacting Twitter or Facebook, but it's very, very difficult. They're not inclined to do that, and you have to have a copyright for them to even consider it.
So Mallory, you and I were talking recently about, you know, getting our social media set up and the steps we need to go into, and I'm thinking, you know, how soon can we get the game in front of people? You know, start showing screenshots. And Mallory stops me for a minute and says, "Wait, Ross, before we get there, we need to tell your story." And I kind of paused for a moment, and she just sort of went into this conversation about the importance of telling your story as a company. You want to talk a little bit more about that, share that awesome insight with our audience?
Yeah, definitely. So when you are setting up your company and your brand, you have to think about what you represent and what your story is. Because when people are looking for your product and looking for your company, if they become genuinely interested, they want to know your roots. They want to know where you come from, and they want to know why they should believe in you and your product. So it's important to take the time to sit down and think about, what is your motivation? What are the key pillars for your company? And why do people care?
Yeah, it's interesting. So it's like this personal relationship.
Yep.
You know, you're not just this corporate face, but you're a group of individuals that have really interesting talents and interests that strike with the audience. They want to almost like have this relationship.
They do.
You know, it's not just about what you're making, but how you're making it, why you're making it, the spirit behind it that gets people excited.
Now, Mallory, what's the best way to tell that story? How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so you definitely want to have some of that on your website.
Okay.
But it's going to be a little more formal. you'll have maybe a couple paragraphs. And I always like to have all of your employees listed in the early days of your company, because you'll probably only start with a few. And then, maybe when you get to 20, you stop putting everybody
Yeah.
up there. But it's important for people to be able to connect.
And of course, it's extra awesome when you go ahead and put them on a Magic the Gathering card and give them special abilities like tap to summon more team members.
Yeah, you should do it in an interesting way. With D20 Studios, I made a Magic card for every single employee because we are a game studio, and a lot of our games do have roots in Magic, CCG, RPG, strategy games. It made sense for the company.
Well, Mallory, it's been a pleasure having you on our show today. This is Game Dev Chats. Dream big, follow your passion.